Okay, so I have a really special guest for you here today. This is Claire, and she is actually from a fishing village in Nova Scotia, Canada. And what she did was she took her love for psychology and she ended up going abroad, and now she's doing some really amazing cancer research in Europe. So I'm really excited to share her story with you. Hey, Claire.
Hey, Dahlia.
So you're in Brussels right now, is that right?
I am, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let you tell everyone a little bit more about where you're from. Can you tell us a bit about your hometown?
Sure. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is a small city on the east coast of Canada. But I actually grew up about 20 minutes outside of Halifax in a small rural fishing village called Sambro, which was a lovely place to grow up by the seaside. But certainly it's quite small. There's not a whole lot of opportunities or industry. So you sort of have to, I mean, depending on what your interests are, you often end up moving away at a certain point. I
I'm
did,
laughing right now, not because I want to make fun of your hometown at all. I'm just laughing because I know sometimes people make fun of Sambro a little bit, right? Like,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. I mean, it's a small fishing village.
it doesn't have many opportunities, right?
It doesn't have many opportunities. And the fishing industry, it was never my thing. And also it's not really sustainable. So yeah, I knew that my future probably wouldn't, lie in that community, even though it's lovely to go back and visit. And I did my first wave of studies in Halifax as well. Spent some time working in Montreal afterwards, and then decided I had this desire to kind of to work abroad, to get to know my European roots better on my dad's side of the family. I wanted to work with people from around the world and kind of push myself outside of my comfort zone because I'd always been kind of surrounded by family and friends, which is really nice. But I had the desire, I guess, for more independence too, and new experiences and that sort of thing.
Okay, so you had that dream of going abroad, and it sounds like you had some really good reasons for wanting
Yeah.
to make that happen. So, what were the things that were holding you back from actually doing that? Because I know it didn't
Um,
happen right away for you.
Yes, you're right. It didn't happen right away. I guess I was nervous. I mean, I was afraid to be away from my close friends and family. I kind of felt that maybe I wouldn't be qualified for some of the work that I wanted to do. I thought, I have done, my education and training in Canada. Will that be like really relevant to jobs internationally? Do I speak the right languages? Do I have the right skills? Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of competition for the sorts of positions that I wanted, and so yeah, I guess I was also a bit afraid of the unknown, and afraid of failing and that sort of thing.
So, what was it that made you decide in the end to get mentorship on this?
Well, I felt that I really needed some sort of, some concrete tools. I wanted guidance from someone who had experience in this area also, who had sought out an international career. And I think I wanted to feel like, for me, it's kind of, it's important for me to have this sense of, I don't know, control over things, which you have to let go to some extent. But I guess I felt like I wanted to know that I had tools and resources at my disposal that I could rely on so that if I was feeling like overwhelmed or it's not possible, like there would be things that I could do and like really kind of more concrete ideas for like how to find a job and yeah, basically getting from that kind of point A to point B.
So, for you, the main deciding factor for getting help was to make things concrete and to really have a step by step action.
Yeah, because I felt like I needed a bit more of a plan. Like even though, there was still a lot of unknowns, I felt like I wanted to have somewhat more of a solid plan.
So, it sounds like for you, the first thing was the committing to making your dream actually become reality. And
Yeah,
then once you'd made that commitment, you signed up for the mentorship, and that's where you were able to get the plan to actually put it into action. And
exactly.
so once you had that plan, like how hard was it actually? Or do you feel like once you committed, you had the plan, things were not as difficult as maybe you'd made them out to be in your head?
Yeah, so to be honest, I think that we're often our own worst enemies. And so I think that once I had, developed that plan, things really sort of seemed like they were within reach. And I realized that I was kind of putting these barriers between me and my goals. And I realized I even saw other people around me doing that when, there's really so much that's in our grasp. We just have to kind of get over our own fears and anxieties. And of course, it's hard work and you need to be committed to what you want. But in the end, it was, if anything, a surprise to see that, it was easier than I thought it would be.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So how is your life different right now since you've made this move and gotten this new job compared to?
Yeah. Well, I have a really stimulating job that I like. I have a lot of autonomy in my job, and I feel like every day I'm learning new things. For instance, today I just got put on kind of a last minute project, which felt, slightly overwhelming, but in more of an exciting way, like getting to kind of try out a lot of different things. And I'm working with people from different backgrounds. I think it's also really interesting to work with people because I'm based in Brussels. Of course, we have the international institutions, and I work for a European organization, and so I have this privilege of working with people who are really from everywhere, which is interesting, like culturally. It's super interesting. And yeah, I think that, and besides work, socially, I really enjoy living here. I've, made friends from all different places. It's quite well located in terms of Europe. I can do, city trips on the weekend. I love to travel. So for me, being able to do that like affordably and have that be more feasible now is really a huge plus too. So I was, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was very pleasantly surprised that everything kind of fell into place and I have this rhythm that I'm happy with and stuff.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Incredible. So what do you think is the main thing that you felt like you were lacking before you made the move that now you feel like that void has been filled?
Yeah. So I think that, well, there's sort of a couple of different factors. I think that I really just needed to kind of get over my fear of maybe like failing or getting rejected. I had this fear of like, oh, what if I apply here and people, I'm not wanted, or like it just this kind of like, yeah, I had this fear of, and then what do I do and what do I tell my parents, and like, I didn't make it. I think I needed help overcoming that. I think I needed to see like an example of someone who was able to do that successfully, who kind of helped me overcome my fears, like assert myself a bit more, like take more control. I think for me that was really, really important. And then on kind of a smaller level, although not less important, but having, sorts of like tools to manage my day-to-day life better, to manage my time better, so that I could really, take advantage of my work and my free time and that kind of thing. So.
And the assertiveness point is something that even I, like in the time that we've worked together, I've seen a big difference as well. Like I remember even once you'd gotten that job and you felt like, you'd made it, you had everything together. And then I asked you, so what about getting a salary raise? And you said, well, that's not possible yet, right? Because it's only been 3 months. And then what happened in your 3-month evaluation?
Well, it went well, and then I got one actually. So it really is possible. And I think that, with that circumstance in particular, you really helped me get rid of my fear of like making people uncomfortable. Like I have this kind of fear, or I had more so before, this fear of like creating awkward situations when really there's a lot that we can do for ourselves where, the worst situation is just that maybe the person says no, but that's not really a bad thing. And it sounds a bit cheesy, but like, like we talked about before, I mean, most things in life that end up being really great for us, like require some work on our part. Like things don't just happen. And so if you're not kind of making yourself uncomfortable, then you're probably not challenging yourself and pushing yourself like you should be. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was a big.
What are your next plans?
My next plans?
Are you going to find a cure for cancer?
Gonna keep working on it. But I think that, I'm relatively new to this field. Of course, my background is in psychology research, but this is a new patient population for me. So I want to push myself to learn more and more, to learn more about tools that can be used with patients to help improve their quality of life. I want to continue to be involved in collaborations, even outside of my organization. I think that that's something that's also makes my work more meaningful. I like to work with other people. And it just, there's never a dull day when you have kind of a lot on the go. I like to be busy in that sense. Yeah, in terms of my personal life, I want to continue to do the hobbies that I love. I want to continue to travel, maybe even plan like a bigger trip. That I've been thinking about that recently. Possibly Japan, like not just, a weekend or week-long trip,
Wow,
but
yeah.
a bit longer.
And you
So
have
yeah,
a salary that enables you to save up for that kind of a trip, right? Because Japan is
yes,
obviously an expensive air ticket and it's an expensive country to travel in. But you have
exactly.
this sort
So
of freedom salary that will allow you to take any trip that you desire to take.
definitely, yeah. So I just have to plan it out and invite some friends.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So what would you recommend someone who is maybe in their home country or in their hometown, and they want to go move abroad, or they want to change their industry, a little bit like what you did? Like, you didn't start
Yeah.
off working on cancer, right? You were a clinical psychologist before. So they're thinking of doing something a little bit different, or working in a bit of a different location,
Yeah.
branching out, getting out of the current situation that they're in right now, but they have all of these doubts and all of these concerns like the ones you have. What would you tell them?
So I would really encourage them to kind of get outside of their head, in a sense, to step outside of their comfort zone, to not feel like these things are not achievable, because I think that, I think people really hold themselves back. And I would encourage them to not waste too much time, to seek out mentorship, to talk to someone like you, who has had this experience, who can give them really concrete tools for taking the next step, and to kind of let go of that, fear of, failure or uncertainty, because sometimes, even in the moment, if you're not sort of what might seem like a failure, or what might not seem like exactly what you had anticipated, can kind of turn out to be something that, turns into something really extraordinary, or turns into some kind of adventure. So I think that I would really encourage them, because I think it's not only about like professional growth and stuff, but I think personally, when you take yourself out of your comfort zone, when you're in a new environment, you open up in a lot of ways that, you probably wouldn't really get to experience if you just consistently stayed, in your same little bubble. So I would definitely encourage them, if they're having doubts, if they need ideas, or, suggestions for the next steps, that they reach out to you. Yeah, without a doubt.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I think just that I'm, really pleased with our whole experience. I think that it's always one of the most satisfying feelings is to feel as if you've kind of, I don't know, to be surprised by yourself. Like, it doesn't always happen that often, but I think when you realize that you can do something that you didn't think you could do, I think that that's a really pleasant feeling. Like, we should try and surprise ourselves more often. Things shouldn't be too predictable. And
Yeah.
and I think you helped me a lot with that.
Okay, well, thank you so much for getting on here and
Thank
celebrating
you.
all of your accomplishments and showing
My
everyone,
pleasure.
what's possible. And you definitely deserve all of these accomplishments in your life, because you're a hard worker and you've really put your heart into it. So this
Oh,
is so
thank you so
nice
much.
to be able to share your story.
Thanks, Dahlia.
So for you guys who are watching, and if you're going through some of these struggles like Claire had, or you just have some doubts in your head, or you want to start coming up with a more concrete action plan, you're looking to make a kind of a change, then you can check with me if I have any slots available in the next couple of days. The link for that is accelerateYourAmbitions.com/apply. And that's where you can get directly to my calendar and you can see what slots I have available. If you don't see any slots available, then shoot me an email. The address is dalia@accelerateYourAmbitions.com. And then I can add you to the waiting list, so that as soon as there's a slot available, I can give that one to you, and we can get on a call together. We'll discuss for about 45 minutes what your objectives are, where you are right now, what you're going through, to see if I can help you with that. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you for Claire for getting on here and sharing that. And everyone have an amazing day. Talk to you soon. Oh yeah, and one more thing. If you have any questions for me about what we just talked about, or any questions for Claire, then feel free to put your comment into the comment box, and I'm sure Claire will be happy to jump on and answer your comment. Okay, so feel free, if you have any questions, just to add them to the comment box, and we'll go through the comments afterwards and get back to everyone. All right, thanks guys. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.